All right, everybody, it's 7 o'clock. Let's get started with our regular meeting. In accordance with the order of the Office of the Governor issued on March 16, 2020, the City Council of the City of Cotulla, Texas will hold a regular meeting at the Alexander Convention Center, 290 North IH-35, Access Road, Cotulla, Texas 78014, at 7 p.m. on Thursday, October 8, 2020. Council will have the option to attend in person or by conference call. Citizens of Cotulla will be able to listen into the meeting by video conference. Public comments will only be accepted in writing no later than 30 minutes in advance of the meeting by sending them to City Secretary Bianca Maldonado at bianca.m.citysecretary@gmail.com. Roll call. I believe we have two council members absent. Mr. Gonzalez.
Mr. Gonzalez called me and indicated that his father-in-law was being discharged from the hospital and he needed to take care of some issues related to him, and he asked to be excused.
I'll make a motion.
Councilman, I need a motion to excuse
Second.
Mr. Gonzalez. First motion was made by Mr. Ayala, second by Mr. Lopez. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion carries. Mr. Ayala is also one of the council members that is missing tonight, is absent tonight.
Mr. Ayala called me today and he stated that he hadn't received his packet or the notice of the meeting on time and that he already had other things scheduled, so he wasn't gonna be able to make the meeting.
Did he receive it yesterday
We delivered it yesterday morning.
to his residence?
And just note, this is the regular meeting of the month, so, which the city's had for the last 20 years at least.
Yes, very true. So, Councilman, do you want to make a motion to excuse Mr. Ayala, or do you want to make a motion to
I will-
unexcuse him?
I personally
Well,
will not.
if you only need to make a motion to excuse. If you make no motion,
If
then
there's
it's,
no motion,
then it's not excused.
then it's not
And I need a motion to excuse Mr. Ayala from being absent for the meeting today. Nobody made a motion, so it is an unexcused absence. Moving on to item number 3, will everybody please join me on the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Citizens to be heard. In order to limit the amount of people in attendance per governor's order, public comments will only be accepted in writing no later than 30 minutes in advance of the meeting. By sending them to the City Secretary Bianca Maldonado at bianca.m.citysecretary@gmail.com. Council cannot discuss any present issue, nor may any action be taken on any given issue at this time. Is there any citizens to be heard? Mr. Doolina, I believe you wanted to address the public on some issues?
I received a letter, Mayor, from Mr. Alfredo Zamora from South Texas Rural Health Services. And his letter basically is congratulating me for becoming a member of the Board of Directors of an organization called Business and Community Lenders of Texas. It is a small business loan organization that operates in rural Texas and gives out loans and help to diverse people of color. And he indicates in his letter that he is very familiar with the organization, and he says it's a great honor for me and for the city to have gotten that nomination. I also received a letter from the Texas Water Development Board. The Texas Water Development Board has started a regional planning process for the Nueces River Basin that includes all the entire area from Rock Springs all the way to Corpus Christi. And I have been nominated to be on that board representing Cotulla. Again, this is an honor and a privilege for me and for the city of Cotulla to be recognized by the Texas Water Development Board to be a part of this committee so that we can continue to do water planning and floodplain management for this middle section of the Nueces River Basin. And I just wanted to make you aware that those two things that happened.
Well, it's quite an honor, sir. Congratulations on your nominations. All right, moving on to item number 5, departmental and committee reports.
We have provided written reports for you from the different departments. I did ask one of the departments to be here if David wants to go through his report so he can go ahead and make the presentation to council.
Mr. Wright?
Hello, Council, Mayor. Just wanted to go over a few of the projects that we're currently doing for the city of Cotulla and answer any questions you may have. I haven't been here in a while, so if there's any questions that may have arisen from citizens or anything like that, I'd be more than happy to answer them. The new water well number 9, that project is complete. This will be our 4th water well that we will have in service for the city of Cotulla. It'll be the first time we've had 4 water wells for the city of Cotulla. It's been operating for about a month now. It's been running good, and we haven't had any issues with it. Production of that well is at 1,100 gallons a minute. It matches our 2015 well in production. The 2 older wells that we have in service are not meeting that production. Currently, those are running, your courthouse is running at about 400 gallons a minute, which originally started at 1,100 gallons a minute. And your Buckley well is down to 650 gallons a minute, which also started at 1,100 gallons a minute. A lot of that has to do with age, water table dropping. Water tables dropped considerably over the years. We've had to intentionally slow down production so we didn't tear up pumps and different things. So that's a great addition for the city. Makes it a lot easier to meet demand in the summertime. Which was something that we were struggling with for the last 5 years, at least.
What will be the lifespan for these new water wells that we just constructed?
I would expect roughly about 20 years.
20 years?
Yes.
And pumping at 1,100?
At 1,100 gallons a minute. All that depends on water levels in the city. So if I have a large drop within the next 10 years, let's say another 100 feet, that's definitely going to change the production of the well. We would have to extend down the pumps, which would also affect production. What we got to take into consideration is in 2008, we had a static water level of 230 feet. Today, which has fluctuated up and down, and is actually on a slight upward trend. We're sitting at 515 feet. Last year in the summer, I saw 560 feet. So our old water wells, you have the ability to set the pump, say at 760 feet, and then then it scopes in and you can't go no further. When I get at 560 feet and we turn on the pump at 1,100 gallons a minute, we lose 200 feet as soon as the pump turns on. You have 200 foot of drawdown. So 560, 660, 760, we're almost to the point to draw air.
Right.
So this is why we've had to slow down our production, and we've been rushing to build new water wells. So
how many water wells we got running right now?
Currently, we have running 3 water wells running, and we have a repair going on Buckley well, the number 7 well. That repair will be completed in probably about 2 weeks from now. What we did at the Buckley well, they had a submersible electric pump in water that was at 114 degrees coming out of the ground. It was overheating the pump, and it finally burned the pump, or the motor. It finally burned the motor. What we did, about 10 years ago, when I first started with the city, we had a vertical turbine there, and it was producing at 1,200 gallons a minute. At that point, there was a submersible put in, and there's been constant problems with incoming power or lightning or a whole bunch of different issues, which goes back to the way incoming power was on the site. So they had something called a delta ground that it was a configuration that they had the power coming in the site. We sat down 3 weeks ago with AEP, and we talked about the delta ground, and we came to a conclusion that we would want to go into the site with a different configuration on the new well. AEP did not charge us. They went and made all the changes, and they went to something called a Y configuration, where you have incoming power on all 3 poles, on all 3 legs, versus having one grounded out. Throughout Texas, this is the way they do it now. That when that was originally designed, that's how they did it back
It's
then.
that thing is for the pumps not to burn in case we have
Well,
lightning.
it's going to assist in that, but on top of that, we had to change out our panel boxes for the new configuration, which is actually what I'm lacking on that site. Surge protection, lightning arresters have been added. They're going to also, there's currently some there, but we put a better protection on the property, which will be installed with the other electrical components. Hopefully that protects us.
That's good.
So I think the biggest aspect of it was getting rid of the delta ground and to get an electric motor out of the hot water. So now we have an electric motor on top, and then you have a shaft running down to a pump that's set at 760 feet.
Yeah.
With the water table, how it has dropped, the recommendation was not to produce 1,100 gallons a minute in there, even though we made all that change. We're going to produce 750 gallons a minute there, and we're going to lessen that drawdown. So maybe I'll get 70 to 100 foot of drawdown, and we'll have plenty of water above the pump, so it'll, we get more life out of it.
Yeah, like saying.
At some point, especially being that well was built in 1975, at some point we will have to think about another water well, but that may be more years down the road.
Correct.
We're prolonging the inevitable right now.
Correct.
So, but then of
Yeah.
course that's
Yeah.
more money and everything else. So, new water well. Talked about the Buckley airport line, the water line going out to the airport. We have a 12-inch water line that is. It's going to start off at Engineer Drive, and it's going to go all the way out to Airport Boulevard. At Airport Boulevard, it turns into an 8-inch line. It travels up Airport Boulevard to the runway, cuts across the runway to the west-northwest, and then it goes to the south on the Newman property. Right now, currently, that's where they are. They've ran up Airport Boulevard, they've ran down the runway area, and they've cut into the Newman property. And they're probably about 600 feet into the Newman property, which is going to pop back out at the new bypass. I expect
97.
97? Okay, at 97. Okay, I expect probably another 2 months and that project will be about wrapped up. On Monday morning, they're going to do bores at Engineer Drive to cross the state easement to the other side of Engineer, and they're going to connect over there behind the high school. So probably about another 2 months that one will be taken care of. We also have another new project, which is a water tower that we're going to build on Engineer Drive also, which is going to be located at the street department yard. In the back of the street department yard, there's a piece of property there. We're gonna isolate that property and we're gonna fence it in. They're gonna build a tower. We had a bid opening last week for that tower, and McGuire Iron. There was 3 bidders, and McGuire Iron was the bidder that had the low bid on it, and I believe it was somewhere around $1.2 million.
$1.4 million.
$1.4 million. So then they had, excuse me, I'm sorry. It was $1.4 million. So then they had in there an alternate for the project, which was a $180,000 alternate to extend a water line from the current water line we're building to the back of the street department where the tower is going to be. So it was a short piece of line, maybe 200, 300 foot line. What the city did is the city recognized that more than likely it's going to be expensive, and we contacted the person, or Sal Construction, the people that are putting the line to the airport, and we asked them to give us a bid. So they went ahead and gave us a bid, and the bid ended up being $38,000, which was on the agenda last week and was approved. So that's a little addition to Sal Construction for the new water tower. The new water tower, 140-foot tower at 175,000 gallons is what it's going to hold. And to where the towers are in town, if you see we have one on each part of the town here, we're kind of creating a pressure plane, or we're creating redundancy in the system. So if I have a problem on one side of town, it'll make it less likely that I'm going to lose pressure in other areas. It's going to help the pressure all the way through that whole area, the whole community. It was just a good idea to, it's just a good idea. And then we have more storage. Currently, the way we are in the summertime, I can recycle our storage twice in a day.
And this benefits the entire community,
Yes.
Fire hydrant pressures
and
going up.
this had never been done before.
No, this is the first time. Okay, as far as water, I believe that's the projects I have at the moment. Wastewater sampling, of course, water and wastewater sampling, specifically the wastewater. I don't have a lot to talk about on the wastewater aspect because everything's been coming out really good. All our sampling, everything that we do has been working great, and everything's been good. We did contract Badger daylighting, and they came out this week on Tuesday and Wednesday, and they cleaned out 3 of our lift stations. They also cleaned out 7 manholes throughout the town. We have every year we'll have a company, Badger or whoever may be the lower bid. We'll have them come out, and we have them do all the high traffic areas, I guess I could say. All the manholes that we have the most problems with, they'll come and clean them out. And as time passes, we add some to the list, and it just gets bigger, and we have just a general maintenance plan that we're doing.
Yeah.
Try to mitigate the sewer backups. Baby wipes is a very big problem here in Cotulla and Greece. And it is everywhere. It's common everywhere.
Correct.
So we're just trying to do a little extra to try to stop it before sewer water or anything gets into people's houses. So, and then of course we just had on what's on the report, just the standard maintenance things that we did throughout the month, as far as cutting grass and cleaning up and different things like that.
Any hiccups on our sewer systems or anything?
If there's any questions at all, I'm free to answer.
Yeah, is there any issues with our sewer system, lift stations or anything like that, or?
The main issues I've been having with lift stations is just more of the same of baby wipes and debris and grease get into the pumping mechanisms, and they tend to cause the pumping mechanisms to clog. But that's why we have a rotation of cleaning lift stations. Every 6 months or so, we'll come and do 3 lift stations or 4 lift stations. It helps it. I think the clogging is less. The problems have been less than in the past, but it still happens. I don't think there's anything we could do to ever completely stop it, but it does seem like it's lessened.
Excellent. Councilman, any questions for David?
Appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
David, thank you very much for that report. Any other reports that we have, sir?
Mayor, you had asked me to discuss the subdivision ordinance.
Yes, I did, sir.
The city passed a subdivision ordinance. Prior to my coming here, the city had no subdivision ordinance, and basically all of the public infrastructure that was needed for different subdivisions, additions, and whatever were all done by the city. And cities typically don't have enough money to go into the subdivisions and pave streets and do all those things. So when a developer comes into town and they're going to make money off of the sale of land by going in there and subdividing the land and then attracting investors to take care of those properties. You need to have a framework of what you're going to require them to do as part of that subdivision, so that the city and the people who live in the city, who have already placed their equity into the system, just like water, just like sewer, by having paid fees over the course of time, are not then obligated to pay for the new developments that are occurring outside of their areas. And so in many cases, in different public hearings, you hear talk about the new Cotulla, the old Cotulla. All of the new Cotulla, all of the streets, all of the water lines, every public improvement that was done was using this subdivision ordinance, where the developer had to pay for the streets, had to pay for the water lines, had to pay for the sewer lines, had to pay for the sidewalks, had to pay for the street signs, and anything else that needed to be done in those areas, including the street lights. And so you see the developments where Taco Palenque is, where the hotels are, where Garros is, and all of those new areas of town, all of those have been paid by the developer. They have not been paid by the citizens of this community. And the reason they had to do it is because they had to follow the subdivision ordinance. The subdivision ordinance talks about they're having to pay for streets, roadways, and accesses. And it describes in the ordinance the size of the street, the type of access easement that needs to be placed there in order to have uniformity as you continue to develop. What the city has done, it has taken advantage of this opportunity and reinvested in the neighborhoods. And we have paved 170 blocks in this city since we started this ordinance. It also addresses the size of the water lines and the size of the sewer lines. If you see our crews working on water leaks and working in different parts of town, somebody decided many years ago that they were going to use these little plastic lines that are commonly used in agriculture out in the farms to irrigate, and they installed those lines in this city. Just last week, we went to one of the mayoral candidates' house and pulled out over 200 feet of this kind of line. When you touch it, it breaks because it was not meant to be used for what it was installed. Every time that we go to an area where there is this type of infrastructure, we have removed it and put in new PVC line. In this ordinance, it gives you the dimensions of the lines that need to be done in order to make sure that people have adequate pressure. When we go and replace these lines, we make sure that these lines have adequate pressure. When the lines are there and the lines are not looped, that means that the line goes out somewhere by itself and stays out there by itself, that water pressure on that line is worthless. If you have a fire in that type of situation, the whole line will empty out because the line is not looped. So what you have to do when you install water lines in a subdivision, you have to create a square, and the square has to be closed. It's called a closed loop, or other people call it a grid. And that's the only way that you can maintain pressure equal on all areas of that line. If you don't have that, and there are many areas in town that don't have that, we have been changing them over time as we go forward, and we continue to do that today, investing in the community. Because someone many years ago, not blaming anybody, I don't know who did it, did not do their homework. The same thing with fire hydrants. If you put in a 2-inch line and connect it to the fire hydrant, it's not going to work. And we find those things now and we replace them when we see them. You saw the city get an improved fire rating because when the inspector comes in, he opens a fire hydrant to make sure that there's adequate pressure coming out of those fire hydrants. They pick different fire hydrants when they come do the inspections. The fact that our inspection rating is going down or up, depending on what you want to call it, shows that our water system improvements have improved over the course of time to much better than what was here before. On the wastewater side, again, if you have small lines, you have a greater chance of clogging up, of having a sewer backup. We are currently making sure that all of the wastewater lines that are being installed have the same dimensions so that we avoid all these issues in development. When we get to the areas of town that don't have these systems, we are installing new systems to correct this problem. If you're driving down the street and you see a manhole, you will notice that the majority of the manholes now have a concrete square around the manhole. The reason that you have the concrete square is to protect the manhole by being hit by tires or other objects that crack the manhole and make them leak. Those items had not been done before, and we have done over 400 of them in the last 4 or 5 years. So if you drive down the street and you see these manholes and you see the concrete square, that's why that concrete square is there. It's to protect that manhole, something that was never done before. Storm drainage. You will see that we have started to purchase the properties on Mustang Creek because we're doing a storm drainage project. You have an item on the agenda tonight addressing that issue, and the fact that I was appointed by the Texas Water Development Board to the floodplain planning group gives us an insight into the tributaries, including Mustang Creek, that drain into the Nueces River, which will spell good things for the city because we will be getting attention and the possibility of fixtures in order to make those happen. We recently did a brand new storm drainage project right off of Gough Street. If you look to the left when you're going south, you will see a concrete swale that goes down the creek that goes all the way to Mustang Creek, which the city has done. And we have done all of these things in order to improve the quality of life in the city that was not there before. In most parts of town, you no longer have to wait 4 hours or 5 hours to load up your washing machine because the water is trickling into your home. We have corrected many of these areas by the water line improvements that have been done in recent years in the city. And we did this in order to save the city money, in order to make sure that people who came in from out of town to make money, in fact, had to pay for the expenditures of public infrastructure, of paving the streets, of putting in the water lines, putting in the sewer lines, putting in the sidewalks, putting in the street lights. All of that is in the ordinance, and the ordinance is a law of this city.
And all those new areas, ladies and gentlemen, it's not paid by the city. It's paid by the developer. All of it is paid by the developer. A lot of the citizens would come up to me and say, why is the city paying for this? Well, the citizens, or the city is not paying for this. It is a developer. And I wanted to make sure that the public was really informed. This is information for the public to know that what's going on with New Cotulla and I guess also the old Cotulla. So like he says, like Mr. Dolina says, that we've been trying to do the best job we can. As we see new, these little spaghetti lines or lines that are connected are inappropriate because of size, they are being replaced. You know, I just want to make that known that we're doing all the changes we can as best we can with the funds that we can accommodate to do those projects. So again, information for the public.
One thing I wanted to add, Mayor, is that not only does that subdivision ordinance apply to the city, but it also applies to the extraterritorial jurisdiction, which is 1 mile.
1 mile.
Outside of the city. So those developers, and I'm not sure that we have any development right now.
We
We actually do.
We are in the process of developing another truck center south of town. The folks are coming in with a development. We have already indicated to them what they need to do in order to develop the property and what they need to do as far as paving, sidewalks, lighting, everything that needs to be done that they need to pay for.
And those areas that will eventually get developed on the truck route, the truck relief route, those are all in the ETJ.
Correct.
So those people are also having to pay the freight for their own developments, many of which will eventually be annexed back into
Correct.
the city for sales tax purposes and for ad valorem taxes, what have you. One thing I did want to point out that Mr. Dolina many years ago realized that the official population that's shown on the decennial 2010 census count
Census Bureau, yeah.
was undercounting significantly because it didn't take into account growth that had occurred post-Eagleford. So the city actually looked at water connections and increased the number of the estimated population. And by doing that, you increase the area from 1/2 mile from your current city boundaries to a full mile. And had that not been pointed out by the city manager to do that, we would have people that could go 1 foot past a 1/2 mile and do whatever they wanted to out there, and the city would have no ability to regulate them in the ETJ.
ETJ, yes. You are correct, Councilor. Councilman, any comments on those reports and updates?
I don't have any.
All right. Is there any more departmental reports or any updates for our community? If not, we will be moving on to item number 6, approval of minutes, September 24th, 2020. Councilman, if you had a chance to review the minutes, Ms. Secretary, was there any changes made to the minutes?
No, sir.
No changes were made. I need a first motion to approve item number 6.
So movement.
First motion is made by Mr. Lopez. I need a second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Ayala. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion carries. Moving on to item number 7, discussion and possible action on the resolution of the City of Cotulla, Texas, requesting financial assistance from the Texas Water Development Board, authorizing in filing of an application for assistance and making certain findings in connection therewith.
This is the initiation of the Mustang Creek drainage project, and it is the planning that is moving forward to begin to look at reducing the floodplain and the burden on homeowners who have for years had to pay flood insurance because of their proximity of their homes to Mustang Creek, with the intention of reducing the floodplain and creating some infrastructure on the creek to make sure that it empties out completely and that you don't have stagnant water in the process in the different parts of the thing. Staff recommends that you proceed with the resolution.
Councilman, any comments on that or any questions on that? Not, I need a first motion to, first motion by Mr. Lopez, I need a second by Mr. Garcia. All in favor say aye. All opposed say nay. Motion carries. Moving on to item number 8. Presentation of financial statements by Jorge Flores. Mr. Flores,
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
Council members.
thank you for being here, sir.
Yes, sir. The first report is the sales tax collection report. The city collected $102,514 for the month of October, which is $50,615 less than October of 2019. Next report, hotel motel tax collection report. For September, the city received $6,080. So for the fourth quarter, the city received $75,971. And for the year ended September 30, 2020, the city collected $803,626, which is 32.4% less than last year. The reduction, almost all of it happened in the final quarter. I mean, we were at 8% reduction through the June quarter, but we had an 81% drop in sales tax, in hotel motel collections for the third quarter of the year. Next report is the statement of revenues and expenditures. This is the report for the year ended September 30, 2021. Keep in mind that there are still a lot of numbers that are going into this report. Anything that we're paying right now in October that has an invoice date of September 30 or prior is recorded back into this year. And any income that we receive in October that was earned in September 30 or prior is going to be recorded also to the prior year. So these are not final numbers, and then we still need some CARES Act COVID-19 adjustments to reclassify some of the expenses. So this report is going to change quite a bit. The final report will change quite a bit. So the first page, general fund, total revenues, $2,128,038. On page number 4, total expenditures of $2,486,092 for a net loss of $358,053. Again, that number is going to change. Page number 5 is the water sewer fund. Total revenues, $1,992,146. Total expenses of $1,365,747 for net income of $626,399. Now we still need to report depreciation expense at the end of the year. So that's it's a non-cash, item, depreciation, so it doesn't affect the cash, but it does affect the financial statements. The municipal gas fund on page number 7, total revenues, 287,776. Total expenses of 252,648 for net income of 35,128. And the solid waste fund on page number 8, revenues of 805,489. And expenditures of 903,720 for a net loss of 98,231. Are there any questions on the financial report?
Councilman, any questions on that report from Mr. Flores? Not,
Yes,
Mr.
sir.
Flores, thank you very much for that
Thank you.
report. Moving on to item number 9, discussion
Thank you,
and
Jorge.
possible. Moving on to item number 9, discussion and possible action to approve a contractor's application for payment number 11 submitted by McKinley Drilling Company in the amount of $50,701.88 for water well number 9.
David, would you describe the location of water well number 9? Exactly where is it? So people watching us can go see the new water well?
Yes, sir. Water well number 9 is on the corner of Dobie, Ramirez, and Thomas Street. So if the new fire department that was built at Martinez and Dobie, it's candy corner to that fire department. That's where it's at.
Thank you for that location.
Are we
You wanna get
finished
that?
or do we have anything else pending at that particular location?
We're finished. McKinley Drilling has to pick up a dumpster that they have out there. It's a tank to hold mud when they develop the well. They need to pick that up, and there's a small change order that doesn't apply to the contract that's currently in front of you. So, but that's it. Everything else is complete.
And we have purchased that demolished building that is next to it, and we're gonna extend the fence
Yes.
to acquire that additional tract of land that has been purchased by the city in order to get enough of a clearance from the neighbors to protect the integrity of the well, correct?
That is correct. There's a lot on Thomas Street that was purchased. The city purchased about a month ago, and it was approved in the meeting, or 2 months ago in the meeting. So right now, we're working on cleaning up the property, removing the house that was torn down and left on the property, and then we're gonna put a fence around the property. So then that helps assist us with the 150-foot sanitary easement that's required. So,
Excellent.
We recommend that this motion be approved.
Is the final submittal on the,
No, there is an additional retainage that we have held back, 10% of the total contract price for the drilling, and we will not release that until all of the items are cleared by the engineer that the project is basically complete.
I need a first motion to approve item number 9. First motion by Mr. Ayala. I need a second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Garcia. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Everybody, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion carries. Moving on to item number 10, discussion and possible action to approve a contractor's application for payment number 3 submitted by Sal Construction Management LLC in the amount of $188,581.50 for the Cotulla, LaSalle County Airport water main.
this is the
Any comment?
This one here is the one we were talking about throughout the my departmental report. The line that's at Engineer Lane that's traveling up the Airport Boulevard and coming back down through the bypass in a loop. And like I mentioned there, they've done probably about almost 5,000 foot of line they've put in the ground. They're through the Newman property and traveling towards the bypass right now. So
Excellent.
And this water line is connected to the new airport terminal?
this water line will have a stub out to the new airport terminal and any potential growth in the area.
And
Especially
the
on the
city,
bypass.
and the city has already negotiated a lease with Cotulla Jet, and they have expressed an interest that they will be constructing a 30,000 square foot facility worth over $1 million that'll be on the tax rolls of this community.
Excellent.
And they're gonna build it themselves, right?
Correct, with their money.
With their money, not
With
city.
that's
taxpayer
correct.
money.
And they pay the city a lease fee and
And fuel fees.
fuel fees.
Good.
It's revenues.
More revenues for our city. That is correct.
We recommend the motion to be approved.
I need a first motion to approve item number 10.
So moved.
First motion by Mr. Ayala. I need a second. Second by Mr. Lopez. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion carries. Moving on to item number 11, discussion and possible action to award the City of Cotulla Airport elevated storage tank project based upon the recommendation of Tetra Tech to McGuire Iron Incorporated for the amount of $1,410,760.
Okay, as I also had spoke during the report, we had a bid opening last week, and McGuire Iron for the tank was the lowest bidder. We had bids range from the 1.4 million all the way up to $1.7 million, and McGuire Iron was the lowest. The city has had prior relationships on other projects with McGuire Iron. They've done excellent work. They did a ground storage tank rehab at well number 7 for us, and they did an excellent job. Personally, I don't see any issues that we would have with McGuire Iron, and they were the lowest bid.
Where are these people from?
They're out of, I want to say they're out of South Dakota, but they go all over
Yeah.
the nation
They
building
could-
these
they could
tanks.
handle
This is a Texas Water Development Board loan money. It requires that all of the steel used in constructing
Be
the
from
tank
United States.
be
Made in US.
American made.
Mhm.
It can't be made overseas.
Good.
How big is the tank?
The tank is 175,000 gallon, so it would be about the size of the tank at the courthouse.
Excellent.
The one on the bottom or on top?
No, the elevated one,
Oh, the
the one that goes up
elevated.
top.
But it won't look like that.
No, it's not gonna look that way. So, it's gonna be more rounded.
More modernized.
The way the process works, we're recommending to council to award the low bidder, which was McGuire Iron. The council approves that recommendation. It then is sent to the Texas Water Development Board. They review the whole process on how we did the bidding, and they review everything to make sure that everything meets their standards and their specs. And then they turn around and come back to us and say, okay, we approve for you to go ahead and start the construction. And that's how it works. So they review the whole process as we're doing the construction. They approve all the draws, and this is based on the money that we had previously borrowed from Texas Water Development Board.
At 0%, right? We got 0% on that one?
We got, it was a grant loan where we ended up with $1.5 million in a grant.
Forgiveness, yes. Okay. Excellent. All right, I need a first motion to approve item number 11 if there's no further questions.
So move.
First motion by Mr. Garcia, second by Mr. Lopez. All in favor say aye. All opposed say nay. Motion carries. Moving on to item number 12, discussion and possible action to approve change order number 1 submitted by Tetra Tech in the amount of $38,946.05 to construct a 12-inch water line from the proximity of intersection of Highway 97 and Engineer Lane to each site of the further elevated storage tank. Future for elevated storage
Okay.
tank.
This one here is also I talked about in the council, in my report. Last month when this was approved, I don't believe there was a dollar amount on the agenda, but it's the same one, and the current dollar amount is $38,946. So I believe we're approving it and putting a dollar amount on it, and then it's gonna, once again, like Mr. Dovalina said, go to the Texas Water Development Board for their approval, and then it'll come back to us and we award it to the contractor.
Excellent. Any further discussion on item number 12, Councilman? If not, I need a motion to approve item number 12. First motion made by Mr. Lopez, I need a second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Garcia, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion carries. Moving on to item number 13, discussion and possible action to approve a works proposal submitted by RPI Electric in the amount of $17,280.42 at the Alexander Convention Center to replace and repair the parking lot lights.
We recently started having problems with the parking lights here at the convention center. We started breaking the concrete, and we noticed that the original construction of this building and of the parking lot was done by other parties, and then the city came in and bought it, and then we reconstructed the building, but we did nothing to the parking lot. So when we started looking for the problem, we noticed that they had used water line PVCs to wrap the wiring, and that they had used a different kind of wiring that is not recommended for use. And so basically what this proposal is to change out the lights. You've got 4 different standards. Using these old lights, we're going to change the lights to LEDs, all 4 of them. We're going to put in the appropriate electrical conduit and the appropriate electrical wiring. Rather than cutting the concrete, there are some expansion joints that are in the ground, and we're going to run the conduit in the expansion joints to the pedestal in order to avoid breaking the concrete, and then putting in a expansion joint sealant that'll be movable, and that'll help us in reducing the cost so that we can then have the adequate lights that we have. And we believe it's a very fair proposal. And we recommend that it be approved, and this will be paid by the Hotel Motel Fund.
Excellent. Councilman, any questions on item number 13? If not, I need a motion to approve item number 13.
Make the motion.
First motion made by Mr. Ayala, second by Mr. Lopez. All in favor say aye. All opposed say nay. Motion carries. Moving on to item number 14, discussion and possible action to allow LaSalle County Farm Bureau to host their annual rodeo on October 31st, 2020, following all CDC guidelines and procedures.
This is a proposal that was brought to the office by Mr.
Ross.
Lenford,
Lance Ledford.
and he brought in a list of requirements that they will do in order to have this event. He's not sure whether the event is going to be held here or not. It depends on whether the facility is leased to him, I believe. But he wanted to make sure that he had city approval so that he could approach the operators of the facility and tell them that he already had the approval of the city and that he was gonna follow these guidelines. And these will be filed with the city secretary and with the code enforcement officer to make sure that what is specified in here as social distancing and the events that will be had with the attendance that will be socially distant from each other in order to be able to be safe in proceeding with the event. And we recommend that it be approved based on what was submitted to the city.
Councilman, any questions on that? Or any concerns? If not, moving on to approve item number 14, I need a first motion.
Make a motion.
First motion by Mr. Lopez, second by Mr. Ayala. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion carries. Moving on to item number 15, discussion and possible action to approve the purchase a new trailer-mounted high-pressure sewer cleaner through the buy board process in the amount of $72,014.
Okay, this item is the current sewer machine we have at the wastewater plant that we use to unblock sewer backups in our sewer system. And also we do it residents' houses on the outside of their properties through their cleanouts. The current machine we have is a 10-year-old machine, and it's within the last year it's become problematic. It's starting to break down on us a lot more than what it ever has before, just because of the age and the amount of usage, how much we use it. I've talked to Mr. Dovalina, and we explained some of the repairs and some of the costs of some of the repairs needed for it. And we came to the conclusion that maybe it may be a good idea to go out and look for a new machine. In front of you have two quotes. Each quote is there's a $10,000 difference between the two, or yeah, about a $10,000 difference. The higher price machine is the one that we actually currently have at the wastewater plant we use in the city. If you look at the specs, the differences are obvious. The machine we currently have has a 74 horsepower diesel engine in it, and the machine we're recommending is a 99 horsepower diesel engine. The pressure, everything is built better than the machine that came from Sewer Equipment of America, which is the name brand, and obviously became more expensive. I've looked at the machine. We did a demo on the machine. It works excellent. They have warranty on it. They have staff all through Texas, or technicians that can work on it if there's ever an issue. Seems like a good piece of equipment. So pretty much what the water department's asking is if you would approve this for us, and we could have a new sewer machine to help with our sewer backup, because we're struggling now with what we have.
Yeah, well, it won't break down as much either.
What's
Yes.
gonna happen to the old one?
We're gonna keep it as a backup.
Yes, it's gonna be kept as a backup. So.
Councilman, any discussions on item number 15? Any questions? If not,
More or less, David, the delivery date if purchased, do you know?
The delivery date, the delivery's immediate.
immediate?
Immediate. As soon as we tell them, they'll bring it.
Yep.
Excellent.
So we're gonna go with a 99 horsepower?
Yes.
John Deere?
And that's got 99 horsepower John Deere. And that Sewer Equipment of America, they're putting Kohler diesel in there now. They changed from Caterpillar to Kohler, and I don't think Kohler's a very good engine.
No.
So that was another turnoff.
Excellent.
Make a motion.
I need a first motion to approve item number 15. First motion was made by Mr. Ayala. I need a second. Second by Mr. Lopez. All in favor say aye. All opposed say nay. Motion carries. Moving on to item number 16. Discussion and possible action to approve a hotel sales and customer service training proposal submitted by Dr. Edward Damberger.
This is a proposal, we had Dr. Dramberger come in and do a training session for the chamber, the Main Street people, some of the hotel people, and this proposed training came out of that session. There is an interest by the hotel properties that right now, when things are kind of slow, They want to train their people in customer service, and this man does an excellent job for the amount of money that he charges. Again, this is a direct hotel motel fund expense. It does not come from the city's general fund.
And how long this training gonna be?
It's a day.
It's a day training?
It's a day, and it's limited to 15 people so that they can interact and do the things that they need to do.
Excellent. Councilman, any questions on item number 16? If not, I need a first motion to approve item number 16. First motion made by Mr. Garcia. I need a second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Ayala. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion carries. Moving on to item number 17, meeting adjourned. Ms. Secretary, what time is it?
8:01.
It is 8:01. Meeting is adjourned.